Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We'd like to invite all of you to the House Bush Caucus Forum on the session on limited access fisheries. We have the privilege today of having a number of presenters from around the coast to come talk to us today about their effort as member stakeholders in working on increasing Alaskan participation in the number of fisheries that we have along the coast. And we're expecting about an hour's worth of time today, give or take, with questions. We're not discussing a certain piece of legislation. This is essentially an open forum, so we will have time for question and answers. My recommendation would be that we hold the questions till after each of the four presenters have an opportunity to make their comments. I'm told that each individual presentation probably is going to be just a matter of minutes, 10 minutes or thereabouts, if not less. So if we might just hold our questions till we get to the very end of the four presentations, then I think we can open it up and, in a more broader sense, ask questions that might be germane to all four of the presentations and the subject as a whole. And we will have Edward Davis and Lauren Van Vactor come up next in front of us and save Linda Bankin's presentation for last year.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I'll introduce myself. My name's Ed Davis. I'm Tlingit from the community of Hoona. My Tlingit name is Kokonak. I am Chukaniti from Hoona. It's a Glacier Bay Cedar House is my clan, Dukdane Tanyeti. So my background, in my earlier years, I grew up commercial fishing, hand trolling up in Glacier Bay before we couldn't fish there anymore. Did some lawn lining, worked in the local cold storage there in Hoona, as well as Excursion Inlet. You know, over the years, I've seen the impact that my community has experienced with the loss of the most productive seine fleet in the region of Hoona. Hoona is well recognized for its seine fleet. You know, at one point, we had 25, a fleet of 25 in Hoona in the first few years of the LEP, limited entry permit. That got dwindled down to about 5. Today, we got about 1 or 2 remaining in Hoona. This story is personal for me because, you know, I sat down right after high school, graduated, sat down, talked to my grandfather, who's a clan leader. He had mentioned to me, there's nothing in this community. Go out, get your education, go get your experience, come back and help your people. And when he said people, not just native people, but our fishermen as well, because fishing is all he knew. He wasn't much for words, but when he did speak, he spoke with conviction. And so certainly that had a lasting, profound effect on me to do a full circle to come back and be here to have a potential impact. Today, my current capacity, I'm the director for Aani, which is the economic development arm for Sea Alaska. Sea Alaska had launched Aani back in 2009. We are the economic development catalyst for Southeast Alaska. The reason we launched Aani back then was that we saw job losses in our rural communities. We saw out-migration of our younger generation from the rural communities into the more urban areas. Our mission really is to focus on promoting community resiliency within our rural communities. What does that entail? That entails us to look for opportunities, look for partners to come into those communities, eliminate impediments that may obstruct us to get some economic development activity going on. What I've just described here is what we're seeing in the fisheries industry as well. We're seeing permit transfers out of the rural communities. We're seeing job losses. We're seeing out-migration of our younger generation. Younger generation can't afford to buy permits. So it's having a lasting impact on our rural communities. Aani, one of our mission is to look at opportunities of how to reinvigorate, revitalize certain industries, and that includes fisheries. When I took this role in 2014, one of the measures we look at is the total jobs within the region. If you look at the previous 10 years from 2014, State of Alaska reported that 19 out of 32 rural communities have lost a cumulative 750 jobs. That's 1 in 4 jobs lost. Unemployment rate is more than double than the urban areas of Juneau, Ketchikan, and Sitka. If you look at it, Natural resources and manufacturing jobs, which includes fisheries, are down 52 and 40% over the last 10 years. What's significant about all of this is that almost half of all of the jobs in these rural communities are local, state government, education, and healthcare. These are tax dollars. These are not new dollars coming into those communities, which fisheries can qualify under. So based on the latest Commercial Fisheries Entry Commission data 2013, if you just look at the Hoona and Angoon census area, as well as the Prince of Wales Hyder census area, this makes up about 24 communities in the region, or 75% of our rural communities. Half of that population are Alaska Native American Indian. The permits in the Hoona Angoon census area are down 33%. Prince of Wales Hyder area down 30%. So this is not a good trend to have, and its impact in the social, cultural, and economic activity within our communities. Over the past 20 years, 2/3 of our traditional native fishing communities have lost a cumulative 50% of the permits. And to give you some specific examples, Angoon permits are down 91% from 20 years ago. 20 years ago, they had 160 permits. Today, they have 1. Pelican's down 75%. Cake is down 67%. Hoona is down 52%. And Craig is down 43%, to name a few. In the last 15 years, rural southeast fishing villages of Angoon, Heidelberg, Hoona, and Cake have collectively suffered an 81% decline in the number of permit holders under the age of 40. According to that same commercial fisheries entry data, more than 150 southeast purse seine permits are held by non-Alaskans. This translates into 600 to 750 jobs and over 40 million gross earnings based on 2013 figures. Most of the same permits were acquired from rural residents at the time under great stress and income in fisheries in those communities. Purse seine permit buy-up programs has been reduced by over 100 permits, and there's really no ability to get back into the fisheries. Interestingly, if you look at Metlakatla, it's over 20 purse seine permit holders and an average gross earnings of $300,000 and more local jobs for that community. Manufacturing jobs, according to economic data from the state, shows that local processing is up 1,100% since 2003. Metlakatla also maintains a strong gillnet fleet as well. That same data shows in 2013 there were well over 150 million in non-Alaska earnings, and that's primarily concentrated in Bristol Bay and southeast purse seine. Further, the CQE program that was referenced earlier is designed to get quota out in the small villages. To date, Southeast Alaska really has had no recipients. The program doesn't allow CQEs to hold Class D vessels, which are 35 foot and under vessels. This is the primary way that village fisheries are undertaken. If you look at the licensed vessel data, that's 60% of the licensed vessels in the rural communities are Class D vessels. So if there are no funds, no quota means no participation or jobs in these rural communities. And that poses a significant problem. So, Mr. Chairman, with all of these statistics added up, it impacts the health measures of our communities that we look at, whether it's school enrollment, whether it's population, whether it's jobs. I'm here today with my peers to talk about the issues and to point them out, and also to show that there is an opportunity for us. Aani's model has been worked on based on working together, developing a collaborative partnership, sharing resources, and developing partnerships with the private and public sector. We recognize we can't do this alone. So I think by working together, sharing resources, we can address this issue and tackle it together. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.